Call this meeting to order. This is the Wiseburn Unified School District regular board meeting for September 22nd, 2021. Nice to see everybody. Welcome. Welcome especially to Mr. Mora and Mr. Banuelos, along with myself, volunteers who are just making a quorum tonight. So thank you, gentlemen.
We have three.
We wish Ms. Caneda and Mr. Martinez well, but they had conflicts tonight, couldn't join us. Thank you, of course, to our cabinet who's with us here on the screen, and to our educators, our staff, and our community who may be joining us watching now or watching on recording later. This is our regular board meeting, as I mentioned. We will ask to adopt the agenda from one of you shortly, but I'd like to suggest two changes. We're happy to have Mr. Jonathan Nava with us, who, pending approval on item 11.3 as our Director of Facilities, Maintenance, and Operations. So I'll ask that we move item 11.3 to immediately follow item 3.2, which is public comments. And then also note that item 3.4, the CTE presentation, has been postponed and will be tabled for this meeting and rescheduled for a later date. May I have a motion with those notations?
Have a motion.
And a second.
Thank you, Ms. Manuelos. Mitsubaki.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you.
We move to item 2, a report out from closed session, and we do have an item to report out tonight. I will read that which is reportable, and that is the request for unpaid leave of absence vote. In closed session, the governing board considered a request for an unpaid leave of absence for EID 1837. By a vote of 0-3, with members Roger Banuelos, Neil Goldman, and Israel Mora opposed, and members Joanne Caneda and Nelson Martina abstaining, the board denied the request. The superintendent or designee is directed to send notification consistent with the board's decision. Thank you all. Dr. Harbeck, can we count on you once more and turn to you for the flag salute, please?
Absolutely. Please stand. Hand on our heart and ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated.
Thank you, Dr. Harbeck. We now turn to 3.2, public comment.
Dr.
Yes.
Goldman, are we adopting the agenda?
Oh, did we not vote to adopt the agenda?
Maybe I missed that.
Didn't you take the vote?
That was, so that was part of the moving items up and
Yes,
adopting.
yes, yeah. That was. Yeah.
Got it. My apologies. Thank you.
No, it's all good. Thank you. Public comments. I'm going to turn back to you, Ms. Subaki, in a second here. Do we have public comments tonight?
Absolutely. For public comments, if anyone would like to speak, we would like to slide you over now. If you could please raise your hand. Below the screen on the bottom, there's a button that you may click that says raise hand. And we can take that. At this time, I do not have any public comments.
All right, then we will move on. We also did not have any share your thoughts, although of course you're welcome to share your thoughts with us, but on the official, and many of you do, but on the official share your thoughts website, there were none this week to report, so we will move beyond that as well. So at this point, let's now move to item 11.3, which we moved up on our agenda. And this is, let me scroll to it. Specifically is the approved appointment of Director of Facilities, Maintenance, and Operations. May I have a motion, please?
I'll move for approval.
Thank you, Roger.
You have a second.
Thank you, Israel. I know, is Jonathan with us?
Yes.
Oh, they're good. Excellent. Why don't we take, we've tended to do this where we let you say a word and we're welcoming you before we vote. I think we should vote first so that it's official, and then we do that. So Ms. Subaki, why don't we take a vote?
Dr. Goldman, before the vote, may I also share a little bit about Jonathan, or do you want to do that after the vote?
You bet. Absolutely. Let's hear the good stuff. You bet.
Perfect. First of all, thank you, Jonathan, for joining us this evening. Before the board takes their vote, just so that the public and the board is aware, we did go through a rigorous interview process and selected Jonathan as our new Director of Facilities, Maintenance, and Operations. Jonathan comes to us from New Hall School District as a custodial supervisor. Before that, he was working at Saugus School District, not only as a custodian, but also an instructional aide. So he comes both from an education perspective as well as the operation side of things. He has a BA from CSUN or Cal State Northridge and a master's degree in business administration, as well as his school business certificate from USC. So we're proud and honored to welcome Jonathan to the team here at Weisburn as the new Director of Facilities, Maintenance, and Operations.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you so much.
Go ahead, Jonathan, if you want to share a few words, be my guest. Sure.
So pending approval, of course, first and foremost, I'd like to thank you all for allowing me the opportunity to be part of Weisburn, hopefully, right, at the capacity of a Director of Facilities, Maintenance, and Operations. I believe in this position, my purpose is to serve our students, our staff, our community through supporting our facilities team to provide the best possible learning environment. To me, I carry with me the mentality of what I appreciate the environment for my teacher to, I'm sorry, my wife to teach in or my sons to learn in. So needless to say, I'm extremely excited to start this new chapter in life. And I look forward to all the relationships that will be built through my years here at Weisburn. And again, I want to thank you all for this amazing opportunity.
Well, thank you very much. Now
You
let's
might want to take a vote now.
Yeah, let's take that vote. Let's do it.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Welcome, Jonathan.
Welcome.
Welcome,
Thank you so
Jonathan.
much. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. I think, Dr. Goldman, there are a lot of people that will be very happy about having a director over maintenance. It's been a long road, and so definitely there's lots to tend to, and look forward to working with Jonathan. And Jonathan, look forward to working with you as we start, keeping our campuses that do look very, very nice, keeping them looking nice. So thank you. You think he disappeared, but no, hopefully you're addressed.
And Wendy, just procedurally, did we take a first and a second on that?
Yes, yes. I have Roger as the first and Israel as the second.
Israel is a
Oh,
second.
there you go.
I'm guessing your name will be frequented tonight, so thank you very much.
She will be doing that several times, I guess.
Exactly. All right, well, good to have
Thank you.
Jonathan on board, and good news. Let's move forward to our public hearing, item 3.3, textbooks and instructional materials compliance for 21-22. Let's open this public hearing at 6:08. And who is leading this, Dr. Silvers?
Dr. Harbeck will.
Right, I'm just here to confirm that we do have 100% of our students do have access to curriculum for both at home and at school use in all core subject areas. And that list is posted on our website under Ed Services, if anyone would like to take a look at that.
Thank you. This is something we do every year,
Every
and
year.
it's both in compliance and very important. We want to make sure we have the materials for our students. So I appreciate the LACO and such keeping us honest here.
And I would just add that this year, and we'll be coming back to the board talking about this, we are in the process of adopting a new science resource for our TK through 8 instruction.
Can I ask a clarifying question, Dr. Harbeck, too? Is that I know I had a chance to have a conversation with Mr. Banuelos earlier today. I think particularly regarding all curriculum, but I was sharing an update on the history social science framework, and I just was hoping maybe you can give an overview as to how we're addressing history and social science. At our
Sure.
school.
Thank you, Dr. Silvers and Mr. Banuelos. We have the California state standards for history and social science, but they were adopted in 1998. So they're quite old, and they're constantly in flux with different takes on how the standard should be written. That's going on in most states. But we do have a history social science framework that was adopted in 2016. And this is what we've been using. It's a very rich set of guidelines for our teachers. It focuses on primary sources, and it involves a look at, say, religion, slavery, human oppression, war, geography in terms of larger perspectives. So those sorts of topics are integral to every level of learning or year of learning. So regardless of what we're teaching, but we do follow the standards and in terms of what's taught each year, but the framework guides us, and it is rich. It offers a very nice guide for our teachers. And we've also offered training on this for our teachers in both middle school and elementary. In fact, we just had one late in August. It was voluntary and we had great attendance at that. LACO ran that for us, an expert from the LA County Office of Education.
Great, thank you. I appreciate
you.
the update. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? I believe we need a motion.
We don't need a motion. We actually just need
Comes
to
later.
close the public hearing and
Oh,
there's
okay.
an agenda item.
Oh, that's right. It's not agenda item. All right. And can I close that at this point then? All right.
If there's I mean, don't we just double check that there's no public comment?
Public comment. Thank
We
you.
have no public comments at this moment. Yeah.
All right, then at 6:11, we are closing the public hearing. Thank you. The special presentation 3.4 again was pulled from this agenda, so we move to items 4, the district committees, and the Wiseburn Budget Committee 4.1. I believe, Mr. Wilson, you have a presentation for us.
Not a presentation, just a couple comments. We actually met yesterday afternoon. We had, Mr. Moore and Dr. Silvers were there. We had a great turnout. I think we went over a lot of information. It was well accepted, and we will have another budget committee meeting after the governor's January budget proposal. So we'll be doing that, but I think it was well attended and the information was well received.
David, I know
and
you
Dave-
sent me the presentation. Did you send it to all the board meeting members?
No, just to people in attendance, but I can certainly send it out to all the board
Yeah, I
members.
think it would be very good for them to see it. It was an excellent presentation. And,
Absolutely, thank you.
the good news is we're in a very good financial standing. We're still pending possible raises for our staff, but other than that, everything was accounted for. Mhm.
And I just to sort of capture or piggyback off of that as well, I just think that giving an overview for this first meeting, one of the goals that we've had, for transparency and continued communication with our stakeholder groups, our labor partners, is that we want to make sure that we're following the budget cycle and that we're having meetings regularly because things change so much. So as we saw during the pandemic and all this new money, and there's a lot of one-time money that we account for. And so I thought that yesterday, Dave did a very good job of setting the table with information so that as we move to the next part of the budget, which will be our next meeting, we're talking about after the January proposal, sorry. So sometime late January, early February, we'll have our next meeting and we'll be able to capture information that we get at the governor's, based on the governor's proposal. That's it.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Dave and all. Let's move to 5.2, the school renaming initiative. Back to you, Dr. Silvers.
Okay, thank you. I just want to give a shout out to Dr. Ingram for her help, to Erica Corder, who's our communications consultant, for their help. And we have scheduled our first meeting of the Citizens Advisory Committee for September 30. I do believe I have, and I could be wrong, but I did want to verify Mr. Banuelos and Dr. Goldman were interested in being a part of that committee. So we want to make sure you get that information. Is that accurate? I just want to. What I had in my notes. So is that okay? Perfect. Okay, so we'll make sure you get that. But I do want to, again, I want to thank all those that were involved. I think our list had grown to about 40. I know one of the things that the board had asked was to be sure that we captured as large a swath of the community as possible. And I will say that it was a challenge to gather people who are not affiliated with the schools. I mean, we reached out to our neighborhood associations, and there are some, but just it is a large majority of people from within the community who are associated with our schools or have been associated with our schools. A couple of things to note, again, is that we did reach out to all the homeowner associations. So we've from 360 to the Del Air community, to our Holly Glen Neighborhood Association, and then also to our Wiseburn Watch. And so we're still pending a couple invites, but definitely wanted to share that's how we reached out. Also want to clarify that we look to do this over a 3-4 month period of time. We're certainly not rushing to get this done. We want to do it right and make sure we're able to involve as many people as possible. The second piece of this is, despite the fact that we may not have a large community presence at every meeting. We do plan to follow up every meeting with a two-way communication. So a way for us to send information out about the meeting to the greater community, as well as then receive feedback from the community via survey and other opportunities for comment. So we are trying, we are going to put different strategies in place to reach a broader community. So if there's any questions, otherwise, I very much look forward to the 30th meeting and the kickoff of our long-awaited renaming process.
Looking forward to it. I don't have any questions. Thank you, Blake, for all the work that you've been doing during this whole process. I know you've had a lot of conflicting priorities and other things that have come up. So thank you for sticking with it as well. And I look forward to our first meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Manuelos. Thank you. And I do want to note one more thing. We did reach out to Da Vinci as well, because we do know that there were some students, and we do have confirmed 3 students from Da Vinci who were Wiseburn students that are going to be a student voice, a high school student voice on this team as well. So sorry, I should have mentioned that too. So that's really exciting for us. That's it.
All right.
Thank you, Dr. Silvers.
Thank you.
Moving forward, and the time that's passed, it gives us a chance to be grounded. So I think it's all working out well. Let's move to 6.1 from the board. I think we'll just go back to you, Mr. Banuelos, and then Mr. Mora. First, Mr. Banuelos.
Thank you, Dr. Goldman. I have one item to share with everyone today. I would like to say thank you to WEF. I'd like to say thank you to the Wiseburn Education Foundation, on top of all of their hard work that they do to help raise funds for our school district to fund arts and arts programs and many other programs throughout, including teacher mini grants and things like that. I do have an email that I received today. They're also partnering with Wiseburn, with our district, to keep our community safe. There's going to be 2 events to promote vaccinations and testing. First event is going to be on, I got it here, on the September 24th, and then another event, I believe it's on the 15th. So there's going to be 2 events that is going to be moving forward to promote the vaccinations and testing. So I want to just say thank you to WEF for being a true partner in the community. Again, not just in funding, but to keep all of us safe. So those are my comments. And again, thank you to the WEF and everybody that participates in it. Very much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Banuelos. Mr. Mora.
Good evening, everyone. Just following up on what was mentioned earlier, we did meet in the budget committee, and David, thank you for a very thorough report. I think it was well received. There's a lot of future unknowns with where COVID will go and proceed, and what kind of expenses will come along with whether we do testing or mandatory vaccinations and all that thing that's coming along. And it's unclear yet how this will play out with the county, the state, and the federal government. So a lot of unknown questions there, but considering that, I think we're in a good place to handle any uncertainties with those issues. And I was happy to see the reserves were healthy and we look solid for the coming years. Again, thank you, David. We did meet with Da Vinci, a combined board meeting, and started good dialogue. I think there's a lot of work to be done and a lot of meetings coming forward. But it was a good first step for us, and I felt that at least we got the ball rolling and we can start moving in the right direction together. So I'm very hopeful in that sense. Also glad to see everybody back to school, and just thank the teachers and the administration for all the hard work you guys do to prepare and get ready and have everything moving forward. To my knowledge, everything's gone well, and so thank you, everybody. And that's all I have. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Mr. Mora. I echo your comment, in fact, both of your comments, Roger, about WEF. Just terrific bunch of volunteers making such a contribution. Thank you all. And Mr. Mora, echo your comment. We did meet with the Da Vinci board earlier this month. Finally a chance to get together in person, kind of further our relationships, kind of start a foundation of how we structure our relationships and connections moving forward, and looking forward to our next meeting. So thank you on that. I also want to do a shout out and thank you to the Coatson Foundation for a $75,000 grant that's on our books this month. They've been incredible, generous partners, completely dedicated to education, really making a contribution here over many years. They're just a wonderful organization. We're super appreciative of that. Wanted to make that note. And in one last note of appreciation, I wanted to call out all the teachers for back to school night at 138th and Anza And I believe Cabrillo was also last night as well. And so I was able to sit in on many of those. Sorry to the teachers for popping in. I know that's annoying when somebody's interrupting your session. You let me come in. Thank you very much. I was impressed with all. I was particularly thrilled to see one of the ways that I hadn't seen in the past of living into our goal and our pillar of collaboration, where many of the grades shared the presentation together from all the teachers of that grade. That was something new. I think it's wonderful. I think the collaboration is great for our district, and it was really wonderful to see. So kudos to all of you for all your hard work. Nicely done. That's it for me. Let's now go to the cabinet, and we'll start with Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Dr. Goldman.
CDO.
At our last meeting, you'd asked about the investments. When we presented the unaudited actuals, you asked about a line item about investments. So I did some research. It turns out that we are limited to investing strictly with investments that the LA County Treasurer has. So, we couldn't go out and buy some stocks on Wall Street or anything like that. I did some other research, and in fact, El Segundo sold some property. They invested just over $16 million in an investment outside of the cash that sits in the county, and they're earning about $500,000 a year. But then I started thinking, quite frankly, we only have about $1.7 million in these surplus funds, and we couldn't really tie those funds up because we use those internally for internal cash borrowing. But if we did come into a large surplus of money, we'd certainly look into investing those funds separately.
Appreciate that, and another compelling reason to bolster our reserves.
Yes, certainly. And then I wanted to share, if I could share my screen, I wanted to share a report, the revenues or projected revenues to actuals to date. So let me share here. Everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay. So we shared this report last year, and now we're going to start bringing it back. So we have some main categories here. These are all revenues: LCFF revenues, federal revenues, state revenues, and then obviously local revenues. So here's for the month of August, this column right here, year to date, our budget amount, and then how much we've collected as a percent. So our local control funding formula for the month of August collected just over $640,000, just over $1.1 million to date. We have a budget amount of almost $26.6 million, so we're about 4% there. We give a portion of our property taxes to the charter schools, so that's called the in lieu property taxes. So, and there's a set schedule in Ed Code on how much we disperse to them each month. So for the month of August, we had to give $371,000, nothing in July, so August was the first payment. We have a budget amount of about just over $4 million to give to them in property taxes over the year. Federal revenues, a whopping $219 for the month of August. To date, about $15.7, and we have budget, and this includes COVID one-time funds as well. We have budgeted at $3.9 million, so it's not even showing up right now as a full percentage. Other state revenues, $350,000 for the month of August. That was the first payment. I got nothing in July. We have budgeted just over $5 million. This also includes one-time COVID funds. Other local revenue, and I broke this down between Measure CL and then everything else that comes in local. So Measure CL for the month of August, almost $15,000, nothing in July. And this year we have $1.85 million budgeted. Other local revenues for the month of August, 75.4. Year to date, 89.9, and we have budgeted just over $1.3 million. So you can see year to date, for the month of August, we brought in $711,000 in revenues. Year to date, 1.2, and this matches our budget, our July 1 budget of $34.7 million in revenues. And so we'll bring this back monthly so you can see the progress as we go throughout the year, how these are updated.
Thank you, Dave. A question on in lieu property taxes. My understanding these are reimbursed. So
every dollar that goes out to the charter schools is reimbursed on a dollar for dollar basis by the state. So a dollar goes out to the charter schools in property taxes, the state makes it up in this local control funding formula in state aid dollars.
So you'll report that in the in lieu property taxes ongoing every month. So if we receive dollars there, it will reduce the negative balance. How will
I
that,
didn't follow that question.
how will that be reflected in the reimbursement for in lieu property taxes?
It's just coming in this local control funding formula amount.
So is the local control funding formula amount 26.5 less 4.1?
No, yes. So this is what we're expecting in total LCF revenue for the year is 22.4.
All right, here we, sorry, it's right there in front of me. Thank you.
Okay.
Got it.
All right, I'll stop sharing. That's all I have unless there's other questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's go to Dr. Dugal, Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources.
Good evening, everyone. I would also like to thank WEF for partnering with us and with Fulgent for the vaccination clinic and testing this Friday. So just so everyone's aware, Vaccination Clinic, it is the Pfizer vaccine available for all students and community members 12 and up. There's been emails and social media postings as well for the vaccine clinic. You do need to make an appointment in advance, and we'll be there Friday from 3 to 7. The second dose of the vaccine will be on Friday, October 15th, once again in partnership with WEF and Fulgent, and so folks can get both doses. Testing, it is an additional testing day for us, so beyond the Tuesday and Thursday, we're also doing testing this Friday from 3 to 7 for all community members, staff members, as well as students. And we do hope that folks do come on by. WEF does have prizes for students and for staff and for community members to come out. And so we encourage everyone to please come on out this Friday. Also, per the board's request, we are looking at increasing our testing capacity. So I am working directly with Fulgent as well as the county and the state in terms of the rapid antigen testing. So we're in the process of developing a plan and ensuring that we can ramp up our testing capabilities. And it's really based on the supply and availability of testing. And so we have the staff ready, we have Fulgent ready to partner with us. It's really ensuring that we do have enough supplies of the test. And so as of right now, we will continue Tuesdays and Thursdays from 12 to 6:30. But as we move forward, we are looking at increasing that capacity to test more regularly and offer more days of testing and more locations of testing. See you all Friday.
Thank you, Dr. Dugal. Thank you. And also thank you, Dave, both of you, for we do make requests. You guys follow up, never leave us hanging. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much for that update. Much appreciated.
Moving to our Assistant Superintendent of Ed Services, Dr. Harbeck.
I'll be saving, thank you, Dr. Goldman. I'll be saving my comments for action item 7.1, local indicators. I have a short presentation.
Okay, great. We will hold off till then. So we will move to Dr. Silvers, our superintendent.
Okay, just a couple updates for me. First, I actually want to go back up. One of the district updates I wanted to share was on facilities. It was regarding our district facilities. There's two items there that I wanted to point out. First, just over the last couple of days, we did get the fencing around the 135th and Aviation site, and we have had a pretty active site as we're starting to, as the mapping, utility mapping is being done and completed, as well as looking to cap off our utilities. Our IT department has moved off of that site. They're temporarily being relocated to Dana Middle School, and we're looking at a quote unquote groundbreaking on around October 14th, meaning not groundbreaking, I guess I should say building breaking, but starting to demolish the building right around mid-October. So, one thing that we actually are looking to do, and we're working with Erica Quarter, who is our communications consultant, and I think I shared this at the last meeting, was to find a creative way to sort of memorialize Dana Middle School, that old Dana Middle School that was, really a pillar for a lot of people in the community here. So we're going to do a photo shoot there and probably do something more virtual than live, just because of obviously COVID, and as well as the unsafe, more unsafe conditions that exist on that facility site. So more to come on that, but just know that we are looking, and we do understand that there's a definite sentimental piece value to that property. So want to honor that. Also working with the county, thanks to Harley Hoff, who has been really an advocate for baseball. Had a nice conversation with her yesterday. She immediately was able to reach out to a member, the deputy for Holly Mitchell's office so trying to have those conversations with the county so that we can begin the negotiations. And again, I'll ask the board, a couple board members maybe, to help support that process negotiating our lease at the Del Air site and potentially be able to access more of the field space that's there for baseball. So that's my facilities update for now. I do want to thank the teachers for back to school night. I know that virtually it's very, very challenging to do that. It's not the same as being in person, but definitely want to thank the teachers and just overall staff and teachers. And what a kickoff to the school year. It really has been a nice kickoff to the year. And lastly, just to comment a little bit on vaccinations, and then I'll move on, is that, there's a lot of information that's moving and that's coming down the pike as it relates to vaccinations. And, we've heard that vaccinations may move down to 5-year-olds and all of that. But so we're watching, we're really taking time and reading and researching and want to bring the board the latest and most accurate information with the best recommendations possible as it relates to vaccinations. And our ability to vaccinate and require and/or encourage vaccinations for our students. So at this point, we don't have a recommendation on that yet. Our students are still falling in that area of an emergency vaccine. At least the 12-year-olds, those middle school students, are still under an emergency vaccination. However, we will continue this conversation. We're monitoring it, and I'm willing, if there's any questions about that, I certainly have. Can answer, hopefully answer them. If not, then that's all I have for today.
Thank you, Dr. Silvers. All right, and that concludes our information section. Let's move to general action items, and we need to take these independently as they're all a little meaty. 7.1, approval of the 2020-21 local indicator outcomes for Wiseburn Unified School District. Motion, please.
A motion.
A second.
Thank you both. Dr. Harbeck, I believe you have a share out for us.
I do. We'll go back one, Wendy. There we go. So tonight I just want to give you an overview of what's entitled our local performance indicators. These are part of the California dashboard, which reports on the district's academic performance, academic engagement, our conditions of learning, and the climate. This year for the 2021, which reflects our work last year, you will not see academic, I'm sorry, Wendy, go back for a second. You will not see any academic performance. As you'll remember, and now you can slide down, Wendy, I'm sorry. As you remember last year, the year before, I'm sorry, in 2020, CASP testing was waived, and so were the local indicators. Last year, they are asking that we report on our local indicators for last year. So, and this is a great opportunity for us because the dashboard is a wonderful opportunity. It's public and it's transparent. It allows parents, staff, students, the school board, all of us to go in and look and see how schools are doing. It tracks multiple measures. It looks at equity. It focuses on continuous improvement as opposed to the old methods of reporting score. So it's a great system. We're big fans of it. It also includes local indicators. And these are marks that we ourselves reflect on and measure. We'll go to the next slide. So if you'll recall, the state and local indicators are guided by 8 state priorities on the far left. These inform our local control accountability plan, and we mark these each time we meet and talk about that plan. That feeds to the state indicators, which are based on data that's collected across the state. So you'll see that priority 4 informs the academic indicator and the English language progress indicator. Some things Wiseburn does not report on because we are a TK through 8 district, for instance, a graduation rate indicator or a college career indicator. Those would be high school indicators. And then on the far right tonight, I'm going to talk about the local indicators, and there's just 5 of them, and they are based again on our own self-reflective processes. So this just gives you an overview of the local indicators, the 5 of them. And here we have school districts can make the determination for each of these by using our own tools. So these are just guidelines that are given generally to all districts. We can go to the next slide, and I'll share with you how we go about this. And I apologize, that should say 21, but it says 20, and that's just a correction we'll go back and make. But the first indicator are basic services, and the word MET is next to it. In order to meet, we simply have to go through this process and offer this publicly tonight at a board meeting. So the basic services have to do with how we assign our teachers. Are they credentialed appropriately? Are they teaching the right classes? Do our students have access to curriculum aligned instructional materials? We talked about that earlier tonight. And do we have safe and clean schools and facilities? And this has to do with the facilities inspection tool that we use each year. It's called the FIT. And we do like to report that all schools are in good repair. And those that are marked fair, we go back and look at with the superintendent and the maintenance department. For academic standards, we look at these through our guiding coalitions, our leadership teams. It's a self-reflection tool that's provided by the state. And the teams get together and they simply fill out the survey, and we use those that outcome. We also listen to our parent surveys and our LCAP processes to inform this. But there, I just want to point out a couple of highlights. What they note as full implementation or sustainability, these are high marks for us. Our VAPA or visual and performing arts standards, we're addressing those well in our district, high marks there. Also on our professional learning and instructional materials related to the standards in ELA and math, high marks there as well. We're also able to identify the professional learning needs of groups of teachers or staff as a whole. So those are our high marks. In our beginning development area, we need to address instructional materials that support science and of course, history and social science or social studies. And again, we already spoke about that earlier tonight and our work on that. Okay, we'll go to the next slide, Wendy. And our last three, we have parent engagement. You know, this is really an area of emphasis for our state and for our district. They've broken it down actually into three areas. The first, and this is new, the first is building relationships between school staff and family. Very high marks on this, by the way, if you go back and look at our LCAP and our parent surveys about being a welcoming community and a community that offers parents an opportunity to engage in the schools. And that has to do with partnership for student outcomes. How do we run our school site councils? Are our parents involved in events? How about our EL, English Language Acquisition Committee? And I think one of the things we're looking at in the coming years here is including a virtual component. We saw great attendance increases through these virtual options. We want to make sure we still have those available to our families who can't attend meetings maybe during the day or drive in. And then seeking input for decision making. This was also something we felt that was very strong as parents looked at their advisory groups and how we effectively engage. And this has to do with how we support and build capacity. So our principals are doing a great job with that, inviting parents and making sure there's opportunities for that. Also surveys for parents who can't attend, regular surveying options for that. One area that we do want to work on, just to point that out, is the idea of developing multiple opportunities for school sites to engage in two-way communication. It's just a way of doing that. We have conferences and we have newsletters going out, but I think Dr. Silvers brought that up earlier. We're just looking for more and better ways to do that. School climate, this has to do with the California Healthy Kids Survey we give out every year to our 5th and 7th graders. You've probably seen this data in our LCAP. So we just review it here as part of our local indicators. High marks in school safety from students, school climate and connectedness. We looked at, do they feel they have a say in things? Do they feel connected? Are they safe? And then we also have high marks there with students who have academic motivation, which is terrific. That's a very high score, 93% for our 5th graders, 81 for our 7th graders. We do want to work a little harder on students understanding what social emotional supports are out there for them. We have so much going on now and available, and I think we'll see much higher marks in the year to come. And then finally, the last one, broad course of study. This is, are we offering all students equal access to all classes and to all all options for study? We look at our Power School data for this, and we make sure our scheduling is equitable in how we bring kids into our school and put them in classes. We also look at our STEM and Project Lead the Way course to our gender, our ethnicity, and our socioeconomic status. That's just one of the places that we like to look at our gender and equity and ethnicity and how we're doing with that. So this year will be a very telling year as we come into 2022 for our local indicators. And so we're happy to report that we've met. We're going to be uploading those. If you want to go to the next slide, these are due to the state and will be published. We'll submit by 10/14, and then the published date will probably be in November. Okay, any questions tonight?
I did have a question on the document. It only had 7 items, but I think I'm learning here because the 8th was college preparedness, and that's why it's not here.
Go back to slide 2 or 3, Wendy, if you could. I'll just show you where it is right there. If you see over on the right, we have the 5 for local indicators. That's 1, 2, 3, 1.67. And that's why the numbering is off, because we don't report on the, it's just a strange way it's set up, but we only report on priorities 1, 2, 3, 6, and 7 for the local indicators.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
And then the other question, so CASP is kind of on hold. We're reporting it. We were doing STAR, 2 questions. Have we ever reconciled if CASP and STAR correlate well?
We did look at that, and I'm happy to come back and talk to you about that. I can't off, top of my head, but we did go back and we look at all of our data to see if there's an alignment. I don't know if you remember, a few years ago, Mary Neese did a study on that, but Sarah Nitsos is our data coordinator, and we absolutely do align to that. We see, and we match, and we see, but we do see a correlation for sure.
Okay, terrific. Glad we're doing that. I think we're doing STAR 3 or 4 times a year now.
We do it 4.
4, excellent. Dr. Silvers, I have not brought up scorecard in a long time because of COVID. As we're starting to inch our way out, the data that was shared tonight was great. How much more powerful would it be for all of us to see this contextualized by trending over time? And these are the items I'd love to see on a scorecard that we could see and say, all right, are we getting better, getting worse? Is there opportunity? Where can we celebrate? Where do we focus, et cetera? So terrific information, Dr. Harbeck, and I'd love us to take the next step with that, with trending and tracking.
Okay, thank you so much.
And I will say, Dr. Goldman, Dr. Harbeck, we have had conversations about how we can transition this over into the scorecard. So more to come on that soon. And I know it's we're coming out of this obviously, and we'll get there.
Change your
Thank
priorities
you.
appropriately. So thank you, Dr. Harbeck, for your leadership and all of the LCAP material. I think we have a motion and a second. I believe we need a vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you.
Moving to 7.2, adopt resolution 21-/22.03, textbook and instructional materials compliance for this school year.
You have a motion.
Thank you.
Second?
Thank you.
No questions.
No comments.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
7.3, adopt resolution 21/2204, adoption of authorization to take any and all necessary actions to prepare and respond effectively to the novel coronavirus COVID-19.
You have a motion.
A second?
Thank you both.
I have a comment.
Please.
So I did have a chance to have a conversation with a board member, with Mr. Banuelos this morning. He pointed out a really a good point. And so if you look at number 1 here that's on the screen, it does have the last provision says a provision of leave of absence to employees with pay. That is something I'd like to actually have stricken from this resolution, fully understanding that we would have time in this district to be able to bring any leaves back to the board for confirmation and discussion, and think that's the better route to take and not have this in a resolution. So would ask that we adopt this with that change. So striking that last phrase, provision of leave of absence to employees with pay, just that phrase.
I believe we therefore need, if we're in agreement, a new motion and second of this amended item.
I'll revise my motion with the amendment.
Thank you.
And I'll second as well. And thank you for that, those comments, so that we can move forward as well.
Thank you.
Mr. Baki.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you.
Item 8, action items, facilities. 8.1, approve request for qualifications and proposal RFQ/P for architectural and engineering design services.
Move, you have a motion?
Thank you, Roger.
I'll second. And just a clarification, this is for Da Vinci, right?
Yes, Dr.
Sorry.
Mr.
I have
Rutherford,
a-
do you
I have a
want to
brief
jump in
update
on
here.
that? Yeah.
Sure. So just as a quick update on this item, this is for the CTE, the Career Technology Education Programs. This is based on a grant that Da Vinci applied for through Wiseburn as well. And I believe the funding amount was right around 1.2 or $1.3 million. And then Da Vinci has previously taken an action to to support the rest of the project because there's a match. So that's approximately about $800,000 or so. What this is here before us, it's an RFQ to go out and solicit for architectural firms such that they can hire an architect and design the actual buildings. So I'd like to also say thank you to Steve Wallace, who's our principal over at Da Vinci Science, and he's taken on a tremendous role in helping to put this together in terms of the RFQ. I did have a chance to take a look at the RFQ. It's very well laid out, very well written, good opportunities as we move forward. They're going to have a mandatory job walk with the architectural firms once they submit their technical proposals and their interest for the project. And they're going to be reviewed by a committee, by Da Vinci, as well as having firm interviews for an ultimate selection that would come before the Da Vinci board as well as the Weisburn board. There's really no obligation in terms of risk or cost at this point in time, because should they elect not to move forward with the project or select an architectural firm, then they wouldn't bring that as an action item to either of the boards. This is authorization to move forward with the investigation for an architect. So I think they've got it really nicely laid out for a very exciting project. So.
All right, thank you. Roger, again, much appreciation to you and Nelson for the expertise you bring. Obviously, professionals in this area is just such a gift we have on the board, so thank you for that.
My pleasure.
This is not something that we're involved in this because it's our building. Weisburn owns it, and the grants come through us, and there's no cost to us even when this is enacted. This is all on Da Vinci, and I think it's important to share.
Dr. Goldman, can I just to clarify that, and although he doesn't know that now unless he's still listening, but Jonathan Nava will actually be a representative for Weisburn on this facilities team, so that, you know, as obviously he could bring back recommendations and information for us as well. So we have that sort of two-way communication with Da Vinci schools as they go through this process.
Perfect.
I just want to confirm Mr. Nava is still listening on the attendee side.
He has his first assignment.
Yes.
This will grow, indeed.
Welcome to the team.
Officially, indeed. Ms. Subaki, vote please.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you.
Action items, fiscal items 9.1 and 9.2, all city management and the receipts and purchase orders. Let's take these together.
You have a motion for both 9.1, 9.2?
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you both.
No questions.
Roger?
None.
I am good. Ms. Subaki?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you.
Action items, consent items. Again, we can take 10.1 through 7.
You have a motion for 10.1 through 10.7.
And you have a second.
Thank you both.
No
Aye.
questions.
Questions, Roger?
None.
Cabinet wish to advise on anything here that we have not read or talked with you about? All right, vote please.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
And then action items, personnel, we have already dealt with 11.3, so this would be 11.1 to 11.10, omitting 11.3.
You have a motion.
Thank you, sir.
A second?
Thank you, sir.
No questions.
I have no questions either.
Okay.
Ms. Subaki?
All in favor?
Aye.
Dr. Silvers, there's any comments you wanted to make about any of these folks that we're getting some great new people and want to
Yeah.
welcome?
We are, and I guess I would defer to, we have our counselors on here, so we're fully staffed there. Nisha, did you want to just share a couple thoughts on this as we wrap up?
Sure. So excited to bring on Rachel Yamada as the counselor, the counselor family support specialist, a school psychologist at Dana, as well as some additional a part-time nurse, Ellen Russ, who used to be with us. She's going to be assisting us with the audiometric testing and assisting our agency nurse as well. So we're excited to have everyone on board.
One of the items up above, I'm sorry, I should have spoken earlier. Good evening, everyone. 10 point, we've hired an agency nurse and
10.4.
10.4, thank you, Dr. Silvers. Yes, ProCare Therapy. So we have an agency nurse coming on board to support the schools, and Ellen Russ is going to help support that as well.
Thank you for chiming in, Peggy. Appreciate that. All right. Have we voted here? Forgive me.
Yes, we did.
All right, then we do not need a second closed session this evening. I believe we have some events to announce. Dr. Silver?
I think the big event that we wanted to announce was announced is the Friday, the Friday Vaccine Clinic, upcoming and testing opportunities. There's always events, and so let us gather a list and we'll get them over to you. But really, it's focusing on us getting into classrooms and watching kids learn and having an opportunity to actually see kids on campus. So as things come up, though, I'll definitely send it to this board, and it'll be on the next board agenda. Sorry, but upcoming we do have the vaccine clinic, this vaccine and testing festivities, if you will, on Friday.
All right.
Any further items to address or bring up at this time? Hearing none, at 6:51, we will close this meeting. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Take care, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Take care.
Good night, everyone.